Good morning, everyone. I want to talk about this global stage that we are watching and that we are a part of. So, for many of us, I don't know if it's you, but for many of us, we like to keep our head in the sand. We like to pretend that that all is well, that we're gonna get through this. That whatever's happening in other countries isn't going to happen in my country. That we're going to do it differently. Ask Canada if they thought that they would be where they are right now. Ask Australia if they thought they'd be where they are right now. Ask Israel if they thought they'd be where they are right now. Ask Austria if they thought they'd be where they are right now, right? There's these new mandates rolled out in Austria where those that did not get the you-know-what in the arm now have to stay at home. They can't even participate, right? Certain areas of that country, perhaps all of the country. So what are we here to remember as all of this unravels? First of all, this is a global takeover. This is a one world order or a new world order, whatever you want to call it, which means that the entire globe will be experiencing this, including the United States, right? We are not immune to what is coming down the chute. It's just going to maybe look a little bit different. The pandemic didn't get us. Something else is going to come down the chute that is going to create a massive amount of control over this country. Not that we aren't already under a massive amount of control. What is happening in the world, the atrocities and the inhumane takeover of human rights is like nothing we've ever seen before. And if you're not aware of it, I encourage you to ask yourself why. Don't say the mainstream media isn't showing me it, because of course they're not. They don't want you to be aware of how these systems that be are literally taking over human rights. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to see the protests. They don't want you to see the millions of people that are going out on the streets every single day in other countries, because then you're going to get alerted to something. Wait a second, what's going on in these other countries? What are they going through? Holy cow, can that happen in my country? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. This is giving us a peek into what may be coming. And this isn't fear-based information. This is reality. This is, let me courageously stand here in this massive collective shadow and think to myself, how best am I and my family going to navigate this if and or when what's occurring in these other countries unravel here? This is these countries that are already way down the line in terms of being able to come out of this oppressed state that their country is in. The amount of the human rights that are being taken away right now in these countries is mind-blowing. And what it's allowing us to see is just how potent and powerful the collective shadow that we're standing in is. And so it always comes back to the juggling act of, how am I going to navigate this if and when it appears in front of me, or if it's already appearing in front of me, and how do my actions impact the collective? Because we are one unified collective human consciousness, one large vibrational ball of energy going through this together. I impact the entire unified field. You impact the entire unified field. If everybody in Austria were to say no and finally stand up against the tyranny, it would end. But the amount of fear, coercion, manipulation, and mind control is so intense that we believe we don't have that power. So we have to unravel, tear back, peel away the collective shadow. The fear, the manipulation, the coercion, the tyranny, the mind control. We have to see that we're in it. And we have to start saying to ourselves, holy cow, how do I get out of this? What are my choices? Do I have choices? Of course we do. Do we come together as one? Yes. Then what do we do? What are the states of consciousness that we hold ourselves in, right? How do I make these choices? How do I stand up against tyranny? How do I stand up against dictatorships? How do I stand up against a government that is corrupt and lying to me, and using fear as a tactic to control all the humans around me? We have to start looking at this. We have to start asking these questions. We have to keep our head out of the sand. We have to look at what is going on with all of these countries that are no longer living the free life they used to live. And it's not stopping. It's not stopping. It's slowly taking away more and more human rights, convincing the humans that are in that narrative thinking it's okay, convincing them that it totally makes sense. This makes sense what we're doing. Totally makes sense. We have to start to ask ourselves, does it? Is this how humans are designed to live? Is this how humans are designed to live? Are we designed to have our rights taken away unless we follow rules, unless we follow mandates? Does that make sense? The narrative that they're telling us in order to make sense of that, does that make sense? Does it feel right to look at Austria or other countries and say, wow, so one group of people are now forced to stay at home while the other good group are allowed to go out and play? Does that make sense? And does that seem similar to something that may have occurred in Germany? Perhaps. If we keep our heads in the sand, we are in for a doozy. Look at everything. Be the courageous human you came to be. There is nothing wrong with recognizing, acknowledging, and seeing it. And then bringing your focus back to you and saying, okay, in my now, in my presence, am I playing in fear? Am I being coerced? Am I being manipulated? Does anything make sense or does it not make? Do the things around me make sense? Do I believe that what is unraveling is okay for humanity? We are so brainwashed, manipulated, and mind controlled that we stop asking questions. And when you stop asking questions, you will find yourself in a world that you don't recognize anymore. We have to continue to ask questions. We have to continue to critically think. We have to continue to keep our hearts wide open. We have to continue to say, what's going on out in that world? Is it possible that it's going to happen in this world right here, right now, where I live? And if so, how am I going to navigate it? And instead of getting caught up in fear, okay, you have to be a sovereign, empowered human to get through this. I don't look at what's happening in these other countries and have fear and anxiety and stress and worry. I look at what's happening in the other countries, and I say, bring it on. How am I going to navigate it as a warrior? How am I going to navigate it as a sovereign human? How am I going to navigate this if it comes? I'm not going to pretend that it might not come. It might come knocking at my door. How am I going to be? How am I going to be? And then what's in my now? I'm going to go to yoga. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But we have to be able to start holding what is occurring all around the world, because it is an opportunity for us to learn, to understand, and to step out of this collective shadow. It is extremely important, because there is nothing okay around what's happening in these other countries other than the fact that this is how we move through an intense collective human shadow. So although it doesn't look pretty, and it's not fair, right? And it's very uncomfortable, and we're in awe of like, OMG, are you serious? Are you joking? That is the only way that we see what we have been in order to choose to step out of it. We have to see how controlled humanity has been in order to say, enough is enough. Am I being controlled? And if so, how do I step out of it? That's the only way through this. We have to see the darkest of the dark. We have to see how we have been so manipulated, so mind controlled, so fed with fear that we forget how sovereign and empowered we actually are. So please, if there is anything that you can remember today, it's that everything that is happening around the world, whether you're in these countries experiencing or not, is an opportunity to continue to step out of the fear, the mind control, the manipulation, the tyranny, the indoctrinations and programming. And the only way that you step out of it is that you feel what you're experiencing in your now and you choose a different state of being. You choose it. You choose to be empowered. You choose to be sovereign. You choose to say, bring it on, I'm good. You choose to say, you can't take away the freedom that I have within my body. You can't take away my states of being. You can't. I'm going to courageously stand in all of this. And I'm going to do it from a state of compassion, empathy, and love as much as I possibly can without losing my mind. But we are on the precipice of a global shift that we've never gone through before. What you're seeing now and what you're going to continue to see is nothing you have ever seen before, and it is not ending anytime soon. Humanity, you, me, we all have to see just how controlled we are, just how much fear dictates our world, how manipulated we have been. And the more we see it, the more we choose to step out of it. So my prayers are going out to every single human right now that are in these countries that are really going through it. And I'm keeping my eyes wide open. I'm keeping my heart wide open. I'm staying present in my now, but I am learning by watching what's going on in other countries, how I'm going to navigate it if and when it knocks on my door. And we're all going through this together. It's not about playing in the fear, the anxiety, the stress, the anger, etc. You can do that, but Lori, how can you not be angry? How can you not be afraid? How can that creates anxiety and stress in my body when I think about that? Okay, that's a choice. I'm choosing to be empowered. I'm choosing to be sovereign. I'm choosing to say, I am in control of my states of consciousness, even if they take everything away from me. We've got to start thinking about this. We've got to start asking ourselves, can I be in that state? Am I in that state? Am I in that state? I love you.